Welcome, welcome.
Thank
you for joining us today.
Yay, I'm excited.
Yes, first and foremost, congratulations on your first book.
Thank you.
What is it like to have your story out there?
It's exciting, but it's scary. Okay. And it feels kind of weird because I'm normally such a private person. So having my business out there I'm getting comfortable with it still. Yeah. I haven't fully got there yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting because, you're someone that has been on the internet for a while.
2012.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't know the exact date.
Yeah. I'm like, since it started.
Right. So it's like to hear that you've been on the internet that long, but then you're also private. I think people kind of just assume that if you have a big online presence that you're not, but that's not the case.
No, I think pictures are fine. And I think I've learned from being on the internet for so long it's best to keep those private parts private because once it's out there, it's out there. So it's made me even more. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like before it was just like fun. Like people say, once it's out there, but nothing like crazy. But I feel like in the past couple of years
it's scary. It's like
we've seen a lot.
Yeah, it's the internet has changed. Mm-hmm. People's feelings have changed. Mm-hmm. The cancel culture is so it's
She's
just
strong.
Like you might as well keep what's private, but that's not what we're doing.
Not in the book. No. I was actually shocked with how open you were, to be very honest.
Okay.
I was like, wow.
Me too.
But I think it's important.
Yeah, it was a process. It took years. I started writing the book in 2020, so it took it was baby steps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Were there any parts of the book that were like super hard to write or that you felt like you were questioning about putting in the book at all?
Probably about my dad because he's still alive and around and I don't have a relationship with him. So that like legally was a thing.
Oh.
Yeah, because you can't, you could get sued.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like you have an experience with someone, so you speaking about it can be, it's tricky because it's like, oh, that's your experience. That's not my experience. Yeah. So that one was like a tricky one to put in. And still uncomfortable because I'm like, oh.
Do you know if he knows?
Nope.
Oh, and you, I guess, won't know unless he were to reach out?
Okay. No. Cool. Yeah. So that's the update on that.
Right. Like,
still not talking to that guy.
Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Of course. But it's like, at the same time, it is your story and your point of view. So I think it's a difficult thing to argue. We always on here talk about like who deserves to tell what story, but that's your experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's what happened. So it's like facts. Mm-hmm. You say the facts and then you dip out. Mm-hmm.
Were there any parts of the book that you felt like brought really positive memories to you or just kind of reminded you of like, oh yeah, I've been through some things, but I'm still here?
I think I've always thought myself to be a hustler and have all of these qualities on my own, but I'm realizing everything just came from my mom. Like I'm looking back like, oh, okay, I don't just have a knack for this. This isn't a talent that I taught myself. Everything came from her and is rooted in her. So I think that was a good reminder. And for her as well. I'm like, dang, Mom, I really am an extension of you, me and my sister. Like, so that was that felt good.
Shout out to the moms.
Yeah.
Honestly, where would we be without them?
I don't know, honestly. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mom.
Well, yeah, speaking of your mom, she does show up, of course, quite a bit in the book. And I'm wondering, we're back here in Houston, not too far from where you live. What was your experience like growing up, living in Project Row houses?
Mm-hmm. We moved around a lot. I think we were technically in maybe for like a couple months. I never stayed anywhere long. Until we lived off Live Oak in a house off Live Oak for I think like 3 years is the most I've ever been in a house. So just like not having that stability and always moving around, it can create a little bit of anxiety as a kid. Of course. Like where are we gonna be? Like, can I get comfortable here?
Can I really just like relax?
You know what I mean? Like, can I have my friends over? Are we gonna be here? Is this where we at? So it's just a lot of up and down, back and forth. But, we were always safe. My mom always made it seem like it was an adventure and a journey. So she did a really good job of just making us feel like safe and comfortable. And
and it's like, you know, as a kid, you're like, okay, yeah, she's doing this, it's fun. But I think as an adult looking back, to know that she was probably trying to figure things out too, but never made you and your sister feel it. How does that feel?
I'm like, dang, how did you do that? Because I'm sure she went to sleep crying some nights. I never saw that. My mom was never, she always kind of put on a persona for the world and for us. Like, I would wake up, my mom would be dressed and ready to go. I'm like, this is what we're doing today. So I imagine that's hard, like trying to figure out, okay, so how I'm going to feed these 2 girls? Like, where are we going to go? I don't know how she did it. I couldn't have done it. I can barely get myself different places. I don't know how you do it with 2 kids.
Right. But it sounds like she was really determined, just like you are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she had to make it work. I think when it's like, you kind of have to make it work. There's no excuses. Like, you have 2 little girls to take care of, so you're going to come up with something.
How would you say that time in your life shaped your identity today?
I have anxiety.
Let's talk about it.
I have anxiety with like stability and like security. I always feel like something's going to be like taken away from me or ripped from me. Even if I have to be reminded, like, this is my house. This is where I live. Like, nothing's going to happen. So I have a little PTSD that I deal with sometimes. So yeah, I don't know if that's part of my identity, I guess.
I mean, yeah, if you look at just kind of your life trajectory, but it's so interesting. I was listening to you. It's like you are someone that kind of craves and needs stability, but at the same time, you're also an entrepreneur. Those things don't really...
I don't know what... I'm stressing myself out still to this day.
Yeah, but people would assume that you would just take the, like, very, like, typical...
I mean, God didn't let me. He said, no, that's not your journey. Right. I really did try. I'm like, you know what? I want a house, and I want a job, and, like...
401k.
That's it. But that's just not... That wasn't what I'm here for. You know what I mean? Like, I've been prepped for something different. It would have been nice.
I mean, like, would it have? You know,
I don't know.
Thinking of the world right now.
Sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, no, I would have been bored.
Yeah.
I would have, like...
And I feel like there is instability with that path as well, too. People get laid off all the time. Then what?
Oh, yeah, facts. Like, having your career in your own hands is, like, unstable, and then having your career in someone else's hands is also unstable. So it's just, like, pick your poison.
Exactly. How do you manage that anxiety now, just knowing that you have been able to create stability for yourself in many ways?
Accomplishing small goals helps me, because I'm like, this is working. You know what I mean? Like, with every collection that does well, or every small goal that I accomplish, there's like a little bit of peace that helps with the anxiety, but I haven't like quite fixed it yet.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You don't really fix anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, you just kind of learn
how to
about
deal with it,
and you live with it.
Yeah.
And she's there with you, but
yeah,
you're
she's
in control.
There. Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you're not, but I think it seems like you're very aware of when it's not those times where you're like, oh, this is directly attached.
Oh my God, I can't wait till you see the movie that we just talked about earlier. Because it's
yeah, I'm really excited.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think in many ways what you're also describing is a lot of things that people experience too, growing up, right? I think we don't really think that stability is so important to children, and although you're very understanding and you understand that your mom did what she could, it's brought a lot for you in regards to the way that you view the world.
Yeah, definitely. I also find envy is a thing. Like when people like say, yeah, when I was younger, like me and my dad did this, and I'm like, you know, sometimes I get a little...
That's
like,
so real. Yeah.
Envy thing, or just like, well, you had like a room. Like, you don't even know, like, how great that is. Like, you had like a home, the same home from, you had neighbors, like you were never like
you
hopping.
can go back to that home.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, wow, like the envy, like how much further could I have been? Or maybe I would have been, you know, maybe I would have been different. But yeah, there's a little bit of envy sometimes when it comes to that. Like, dang, like.
There's not enough conversations about envy, I think. I think we demonize it, right? We're like, oh, you should never be jealous or you should never be envious. Mm-hmm. It's weird. Why would you do that? But it's very like normal, I think. And that's such a real thing. As someone that also moved around a lot, I think about that all the time too. Like, dang, you've been in this house, your parents been in this house for 30 years. You showing me your Barbie collection for when you were 5. I don't know what that is. Or when people like bring out albums of like baby pictures and they have like albums and albums. Pictures? You're like, oh, that got lost somewhere in some water damage. Right. Like, it is something you're like, dang, that didn't seem important to me when I was younger, but now that I do want to connect with these different parts of myself, it's very difficult to try to imagine. Yeah. Because you don't have these reminders, these bigger reminders.
Right. And sometimes it's like good to tell the person because they're like, you know what, I didn't even consider this as a thing or like a blessing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not bad all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, but I guess you're creating that now for yourself. I mean, we did talk about you being on social media for a couple of years, right? So you can go back and look at what you were posting. Do you ever do that in 2012?
Yeah, I do. I've archived Platinum. No, I do. Even with my business, I'm like, oh, I miss the simpler days. You know, when it wasn't so like photo shoot. It's just like, I have this item and I have it for sale. You know what I mean? The simplicity of that and the way that I built the brand, going back, I learned a lot. I'm like, this is why we stood out. And I'm learning from it now. Like we kind of need to go, I think we need to go back to the basics a little bit because the market is so saturated and everyone's so dancey and selly. And I miss the simplicity of it all. So I definitely have learned a lot from going to those old posts.
I mean, yeah. And I think also what I was thinking about is that you were in survival mode for pretty much your whole life up until, I'm assuming, a couple years ago. What is it like to kind of be in a space where you don't have to be in survival mode anymore and you can allow yourself to be more creative and take your time with things? Do you struggle with that?
Yeah, sometimes because entrepreneurship is so rocky. I'm never like don't get comfortable. You know what I mean?
I do remember that part of your
book. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people great that are starting businesses. So it's not easy in entrepreneurship to just like put your leg up. I mean, yes, we need rest, of course, and you don't want to stress yourself out, but it's good and bad that I'm always kind of looking and like, okay, what's next?
I mean, how do you stay grounded in who you are if you feel like you kind of also have to be in the know with everything going on around you, business-wise, and I guess even just people-wise, because I'm assuming you're around a lot of different types of people as well, too.
I mean, I still have all the same friends from earlier. I think the people around you, like keeping like a good community around you, and your family, like all of those things ground you. Coming back home grounds me. And just me grounds me, like doing things that I enjoy. Like I like watching Game of Thrones or like my solo time grounds me because then I can think and I'm not thinking about work or thinking about what's next or competition. Just those small little pleasures, all that can be grounding.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's what also keeps you balanced as well too?
Yeah, I think, and it also keeps you from going crazy. Because entrepreneurship it's fun, but it's rocky and you know, it can be a lot sometimes. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm also thinking about the mental health aspect of it, of just like, again, going from survival mode, trying to create stability for yourself, thinking about one plan for yourself, and then going a completely different route that really requires you to be faithful and hopeful and grounded in yourself in general. How do you take care of yourself mentally, or what does mental health mean to you in general?
I think just for me personally, those little rewards, like just like one of my favorite things to do is to drive in my car.
Okay.
And
just
go on D&D.
Okay.
Or act like I'm on a podcast or doing something and tell everybody I'm dipping out. Like those small little pockets of time, because I don't get a lot of that. That's for me. I mean, everyone's different. You could do like your self-care for mental health, go to yoga class for mental health. I don't know. That's my version of just dipping out and going on D&D.
What do you do in those moments where you do kind of cut yourself off from the rest of the world? Or what do you think about?
I watch movies. I'm really into film. I'll rewatch movies. I'll re-listen to albums that I like. Or I'll just sit and daydream about like the way my life, like what I want for the future, or things that have never even happened, or trying to see myself in different situations. I'm living in my head or watching movies, or that's my version of that.
So it sounds like dipping into your just like an imaginative world and daydreaming is something that helps you feel a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did as a kid. It's so interesting because my sister's like, you don't remember this. You don't remember that. Like, you didn't put this in the book. And I'm like, because I was daydreaming the whole time. We both have like different, I've always been, I'll just literally be like, here, but not here. That's me. I'm definitely a daydreamer for sure.
Yeah. A lot of people don't think daydreaming is a coping mechanism, but when you are experiencing something that feels really like emotionally intense or anything that seems traumatic, right? Some children do rely on daydreaming to put themselves in a space where they do feel more in control.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, it seems like you carried it now as an adult too.
Yeah, and I think even when my mom was sick, or back in 2018, she doesn't remember like that whole year, which I'm thankful about. I'm like,
but you do.
I remember it.
Yeah.
So it's on me and I carry it. But it's good that she doesn't have to carry it because she was out of it, because you experience psychosis when you're in the hospital and you're on so many heavy drugs.
Right.
So sometimes dipping out mentally whilst a lot of stuff is going on, that could be helpful.
Yeah. I'm actually glad you brought that up. That was where I was going next.
Okay.
Yeah. What was it like for you to write about that experience and after living it? It's
interesting because I had, like, with my memory, like, going back into my life with the books, I had to lean on a lot of people, but that I remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So it wasn't painful writing it was painful reading it and reading it out loud. Like the audiobook, no.
A lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. So sometimes when I listen to it, I'm like, I had to go through that chapter so many times. I wish they would have kept the first one where I was actually crying, but that you want to be like clear for the audiobook. But
I guess the emotional piece you wanted people to feel.
Yeah, because I'm like, dang, like that was like traumatic. You know what I mean? And my mom, she doesn't want to. She doesn't like,
especially the way that chapter starts and the way that you described how she was and how you didn't know what was going on, and all you did was take your laptop and your phone and just got on a flight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky because my mom's still sick. So it's not like something we've come out of.
Yeah.
So that's always like a difficult thing. I wish I had like and now my mom's great. You know, we went through all this and now we're here. We're kind of still in it. And when you have a sick parent or you have medical problems, you know how it is. Like, some days are good, some days are bad, and we're kind of back bad again. So it's very like, dang, we're still here.
Right.
Sometimes when I read it.
Is it difficult to be celebrating such a big high in your career while knowing that she's also not doing well?
Yeah, because she's not involved like I want her to be. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think when you have a single parent, right, where either the other parent is not present, not alive, whatever the case may be, when something happens to them, it feels so catastrophic is the way I can describe it, because it's like she's your only parent
thing. Yeah. It's difficult. Me and my sister talk about this a lot because we've had so many of the my mom is about to die experiences. Like, oh, this is it. You know, this is it. So it's just like we're always, you're ready and you're not ready. You know what I mean? Like if it happened today, I don't know what I would think, but we've been prepping for it for a while.
Yeah. And it seems like when in the book, what I thought was another coping mechanism is you went straight into research while you were there. Did that help you feel more in control?
Yep. Because it's like, this makes sense or this doesn't make sense. I'm not a doctor, but I feel like I'm a doctor now.
I mean, you have the time and the energy to do the research that doctors don't have anymore.
Right. It's like the doctors are busy. The nurses, like, they can only do so much. Like, it's a lot. And thank goodness this happened during, like, before COVID. I always think about that. Like, what if this would have happened in 2020 versus 2018?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been able, because in 2020, my mom was still in the hospital, but only one of us could go in. So I can only imagine, like, but yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot dealing with, and just trying to be kind to the staff, because I know that they go through so much, and I see a lot of people attack nurses and attack doctors, but they're doing their best and they're trying to save everyone's life. So it's just like some of that responsibility is on the family. Like help them out. Help me help you.
Right. It's the anxiety, you know, when you're in that situation, you feel out of control, you don't know what's going on. And then you feel like, okay, like I need you to be as anxious as I am, but the doctors and nurses, if they were as anxious as you were,
they got to keep it together because they got to be on to the next. And sometimes it's like, your mom, there's nothing I could do for her, but I can do something over here. Right. And they have those conversations with you, like, I can't be in here all day with your mom. Like, we've lost hope with this. We got to go in a different direction. So to me, I'm like, no. Like, we can figure this out.
You mentioned that you still carry that time, that year. Where do you put it?
I don't know. Me and my sister, I'm like, we're just kind of like, it's just because we're currently still going through it. Like my mom the other day went to the hospital. So it's just like I don't know. Yeah. To answer that one.
It's one of those things that you can't control, right? And I'm assuming maybe adds to some of the anxiety that you carry too.
Yeah, because you're just kind of like, what's going to happen? I don't know. And not knowing and not having control over that.
Just having to sit in that in between.
Yeah.
But you also have your sister.
Yeah, thank goodness. I'm like, there's two of us, and she's just as like motivated as me. She's researching the same as I am. So I'm happy there's two of us and not one of us. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I think you can share that load, and she understands exactly how you're feeling without you having to describe it in detail or talk too much. Like, she just gets it.
Right, for sure.
I thought she was going to be more in the book, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I did, because I mean, as someone that sees you online, like, I know that you two are very close.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
It gave me, writing about people next to me gave me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know. It's like, I don't want to talk about your experience or your story. And then I'm like, I don't know if you want to, this is me being a sister. Right. If you want to like share your version of the story later or, you know, because we have completely different outlooks of our childhood. So I don't know. I think that was part of it. I'm like, let her do her own thing with that. Yeah.
Sounds like you wanted to protect her a little bit too.
A little bit, yeah. I'm not trying to put my sister all in leave my sister alone. My sister.
Have you always been protective of each other?
Yeah. I mean, she's younger, so she's more protective of me than I am of her. Like, she's like a little Taurus. She crazy. But yeah, I think maybe that was it. And me just not like, I don't know how you felt about this time, or let me let you speak about that when you're ready. Yeah.
Were you nervous for her to read the book?
Yep.
Like, really?
Like, she was the person that, because she's so, like, blunt.
Oh. And this is delicate.
Yeah, so she's only made it halfway through.
Oh, she hasn't even finished
yet. She's like, I know what happened, you know?
Like, okay, girl.
I think after the mom chapter, she's just like, I know what happened. I'm like, yeah, but you got to finish reading it. I know you know everything, Christina. But... I think the mom chapter is hard to get over if you went through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then after that, if you kind of close the book and just like take a breather. Yeah. If you're kind of currently still going through it.
As someone that read it, it was like the chapters before is like you kind of like on this like really big high, right? It's like Babes is booming, you know, you're growing your platform, people are buying or selling out of things very quickly. And then that chapter, it's like, it's almost like a direct stop. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, you had to really just drop everything.
Yeah. And I'm so lucky. I think I sent out an email list at that time that my mom was in the hospital, like to my customers, because I'm like, I can't. Yeah. I don't have nothing for y'all. I'm not going to post. The orders are going to go out and that'll be that. But yeah, I was lucky to have like an understanding customer base, and they would always be praying for her and sending me messages. So it made me feel like I had like a little community, right? And I got closer to them, and you know, it was a good reminder of like how awesome they are. But yeah, it was definitely hard doing both,
for sure.
And to come up, I was moving and I was shaking, and then that was definitely just like a skirt.
Yeah. Do you ever feel any sort of like sadness for your business during that time? Or do you feel like because everyone was so receptive to your email and just letting them know that you feel Just gratitude?
No, not that time. I feel like I've made some mistakes that I've learned from now with my business, but that was not it. Because I did the best that I could. Like I brought my laptop with me. You know what I mean? Like I was still
like it's crazy.
I was still working. So I did that time. Like I did everything that I could. So no regrets then.
Yeah, and I mean that's Babes is your business, of course, and then you also had to tap into the publishing business. What was the shift like for you?
It's the not.
That was such a big breath.
I've never worked in corporate America, right?
Right.
So being not thrown into that, but going into that is like I don't like going into spaces where I haven't researched first and I don't know because I feel uncomfortable and I start to get insecure. So that was like dipping into publishing was very, it was different. You know what I mean? Like I just learned BCC is shady. Like
is
to
it?
BCC, like you CC someone, but then not knowing someone's on the email is seen as shady.
Why is it seen as shady?
I don't know. That's what just someone told me that. That's neither here nor there. But
I was like, you taught me something I didn't know it was shady.
I don't know, but anyway, just
unless you were trying to be messy, but like if you weren't.
Shady. Right, okay, so yeah.
Now we know it's shady, okay.
Yeah, and just like, it's one thing like creating something, but then selling it and it's personal is different. So like writing the book, it was fine. But when it comes to selling it and publishing and the business that goes with it, that's what makes me uncomfortable because I feel like I'm selling me. Like I'm selling like,
I mean, you are.
My insides. And it's like, if it's
So it's like quantify it, and then like they're talking about like metrics and how it'll sell, but it's this like, is your life.
You do know my face is on the book.
Right.
It's me, it's my name, and it's my story, and it feels like I'm being sold or I'm selling or I'm trying to sell myself, which I'm not comfortable with all the time.
Well, I guess there's a certain level of detachment from selling your brand in ways. Like, of course, you are the face of the brand in many ways, but I think over the years, I've of course follow Babes, but over the years it's been less of you and more like models and things like that as well too. So there's like a level of detachment. Yeah. Whereas this is no. I mean, Babes, I'm still really attached. Like I'm sensitive to everything. I'm like, this dress didn't sell. I didn't sell. They don't like me. You know what I mean? Like it's very like me, Babes, I am Babes. Even if I'm not the face, I feel it the same way. The excitements, the highs, the lows. And the same with this. It's like, creating, great. Yeah. Create all you want. Right. But once you start selling it, that's when you start to think. Yeah. Like, what's going on? Yeah, what's going on here? And again, I think because this is a book about you, I'm sure you want to know what people think and how they feel about the story. So are you going to be reading reviews or are you going to say no to that? Okay, good. I don't know. I don't think so because I hold it. Even though I've been on social media for a long time, I've learned don't look at, the good comments, but once you see a bad one, like trying to go find them or rereading, like that's none of my business. That's none of my business. And one of my friends told me the other day, because she's a singer, and she's like, and I love her music. I'm obsessed with her music. And she's like, I don't like any of my old albums. And I'm like, I'm obsessed with your old albums. And she's like, if I can give you any advice is create it and then let the world have it. It's theirs now. It's not yours anymore. It's theirs. So that's how I view it. It's their book. It's not up to me to read and like the reviews. And, of course, I hope people love it. But yeah, I'm not going to be scrolling that. Okay, good. Because, as we always talk about it here, like, definitely don't read the reviews. Not saying that they're bad, but I think because it's so personal. Yeah. One, I don't know how people review books that are kind of memoir forward because it's their life story. I don't know. How would you? I don't know. It's very tough. Like, you didn't like my life story. You know what I mean? I'm not really I've never left a bad comment in my life. You can think like, oh, I don't like that. But I've never, but you don't need to publish it. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know like how to even start typing. Like, people like to feel a sense of like, I judged this. This is my opinion. Or this person I'm better than them in this particular way. But I'm always like, let them win, even if I think it's bad. Like, if I watch a movie and it's like a Black person did, I'm like, it's great. I'm sorry. It's amazing. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
It's not like you created something, you did something, like great.
Yeah. That's what it always comes down to me, because, like, again, like I said earlier, you were so personal in this book. Mm-hmm. I could never, personally.
I got dragged to that. And it was because it started as just a plain business book. It was just tips. That's what Penguin bought during COVID.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Okay. And then 2 years after finishing the book, they said, we don't want this one. We want, we had a talk, like it was a Zoom. It was a whole team, all the higher ups. And they said, if you want to write this book, this is not what we want. This is not the direction we want to go in. We want more of your story. So it's like, we think that this will resonate more instead of your business book before.
Okay, so when you got off the call, please tell me how you felt.
I was like, the anxiety came, like, am I going to get this opportunity again? Do I want to walk away just because I want this business book? Or do I want to listen to the feedback? Because everyone agreed. Like, people on my team agreed, Penguin agreed, so it's just like, I know
you're just sitting there like,
I said, I know I know you're uncomfortable with this, but you got to do things you're uncomfortable with to get to the other side. So that's what I'm saying. I had to get dragged, like, kicking and screaming, like, okay, I guess I will share like parts of my story, parts of myself. Yeah.
And as someone, I do have to say, I am not a self-help business book girly. It's not really for me. I respect it. I do. I think there's an audience for it. I am not a part of that audience. What I think kept me engaged in the book was your personal story. I think it
they were right.
They were right. I will say they were right. Like, of course, the tips at the end were great. And I loved the fact that you added affirmations to each chapter as well, too. I think that was really a positive direction to go in as well, too. But the meat of it was you.
Yeah.
And I guess because no one really knows this story from following you all of these years, and those that haven't, they're going to read it and be like, oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah. Like, I guess it's helpful.
There's no way to guess.
Yeah. And I had to sit with myself, like, who wants a business book from me? Why would they care to even listen to me if I don't share any of my story? So I had to think about it like that.
I mean, it worked.
Hey.
So for those that are maybe trying to either enter the business world, the entrepreneurship world, or for those that are trying to write their story, what are some tips that you would share with them? How would you encourage them to do so?
Business, always find a problem and fix it. I think a lot of people see problems and they don't fix it. Like, they're like, man, they judge products and they're like, this would be better if it had this, or...
And then that's it.
That's it. You have to be the doer and the fixer. That's how you start a business. And that's how you start a successful business, is like seeing the problem. I wish I would have come up with Postmates. Or Uber. Or any of these things, these simple things that we probably thought before.
Just like constantly making money.
I'm kicking myself about it. So it's just about seeing problems. It helps if they're your own, so you're passionate about it. Don't just see somebody else's problem. See something that you're really, really passionate about, and do something. Start. Even if your prototype is like crappy or whatever, it's all about taking that first step. Yeah.
What about writing? Okay, another big sigh.
I mean, the first version of this was Scribble Scratch. It's just like, same thing. My prototype was like a little crappy. I had a Scribble Scratch version of what I wanted my business book to look like. So I think starting is like the hardest thing, and then keep at it. Don't compare yourself to other great things that you see out there, or, I wouldn't even involve people earlier on. Like, what's your opinion about this? Like, finish, find what you want to do, dive into it, and just start, and then venture out. I got lucky because I had a writer friend, and she introduced me to her agent, and then her agent. In that way I got lucky. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't have that. So if I were to do this again, I'd reach out to an author. Who's your agent? This is my idea.
Just straight up.
You know what I mean? Like, just try it. I mean, worst thing they can say is ignore you or say no.
Yeah, that is true. And when you said that you had a friend and she introduced her to your agent, I was remembering the chapter that you have about using people.
Yeah.
Which I think people will read and be like, what does she mean?
Yeah.
if you didn't tell your friend that you had this idea, then she would have never put you in contact.
I mean, I'm more about just asking and people can say no, and at least I asked, and at least you told me, you told me no, right? Like, you got to straight up tell me no.
Because if not, I'm going to ask again.
You know what I mean? Or just say, like, hey, this is what I need, and in return, this is what I can do for you. That's better. That's a better way of using people to me. Yeah. If they just don't love you and just want to help you, just like, hey, like, I have a following. Like, what can I offer you? I got some clothes.
You know, I can send you some.
But I see you have this connection, so help me out, please.
Yeah. What an interesting journey. So this is a 4-year journey that started off one way, ended here. Would you say that you feel satisfied with what you've put out?
Yes and no. I think it's weird because I also talked to this guy. I've been talking to a lot of people, random strangers, like, hey, so what are you doing? He was writing a script at the time, and it was amazing. And I was like, do you ever feel like after you're done, you want to keep changing it? And he said, yes. So there are things that I want to keep changing, but that's just me. Like, even after I do a dress, I'm like, oh, what if I would have done this differently? Or what if it's just the creative part of me. Like, oh, I want to add this or add that. So I'm happy with it, but there are, there's still those little pieces.
Yeah. I feel like, as an
like, I
don't
artist, want me on the cover now.
What? So what would you put on the cover now?
Just a graphic. Some squiggly something.
Why though?
I don't know. One, I'm tired of looking at my face.
Fair. I mean, not saying that you don't have a beautiful face, but if I was you, I'd be like, hey, my face is everywhere. Like that was.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, I would just do the graphic. Like the book without the jacket is my favorite thing.
It's a really pretty yellow, I will say.
Yeah, with the little green on the inside. So, I would change that.
Okay. It's too late. Oh, maybe for the paperback.
Yeah.
The paperback.
Let's see if they let me.
We'll see.
Yeah.
They're a little weird about that.
Yeah.
We'll so, in another, I guess, something to wrap us up, but something I also was thinking about was there's a part in the book where you talk about getting some new shoes at Payless. Yeah. You were really excited about it.
Yeah.
And you went to school.
Everybody made fun of me. Gregory Lincoln.
Not the shout out. Well, you went to school. They weren't K-Swiss. They were K-Swiss adjacent.
You know what's crazy is we actually confirmed that they were fake K-Swiss in the book, but I thought they were Adidas.
Oh.
I was way, way, way wrong. But anyway, I got some shoes from Payless. I mean, Payless, I miss Payless. I love Payless. Like, shout out to Payless.
August when you go before school.
You know what I mean? Like, the shoes are nice and they're really good quality. Like, they didn't tear up. Like, people slept on Payless. But, and then them having shoes that look like the other shoes, it made me feel good until I got to school.
Right. Kids are so mean, as we know.
Kids are just mean and honest, and you really don't know that you ain't the shit until you get you think you're the shit until you get to school, and then the other kids say no you don't have the real ones. But that affected me because then once I was able to have money to get like proper shoes, then I really dipped into it. But shout out to Payless.
But my question is, what would that version of Ciera think about you today?
Dang, that's a question. That version of Ciera think about, I would think she would think I'm a completely different, like, person. Because I didn't see that for myself. Or I didn't see this for myself. Going to LA and, like, doing a business. I would think she'd be like, that's where we ended up. Proud, but also, like, wow.
Shocked.
Like, I didn't see that coming at all. So, more shocked. Shocked, proud.
Yeah. Do you ever think of her when you're having these big milestone moments?
No. Maybe I should.
I wonder what it would be like if you carried her along with you.
Yeah. Maybe I should. I wanted to say yes, so it'd be a good answer to your question, but I'm being honest.
I'm glad that you're being honest. Yeah. I think it's important to carry those versions of ourselves as we do these things because they wanted so much for us too. And it's nice to be like, look, we did it.
Like, look at us. Look at us. Look at there. Yeah. Look at us now. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think again, congratulations on the outsider advantage.
Thank you.
I think it's very relatable to those who have grown up with not having a lot or grown up with in a space that wasn't stable as well. It's really encouraging to see the ways that you navigated through life when you could have honestly just given up or just taken the safe route. You took the unexpected route every time, and I hope that those that are listening will also feel encouraged to do the same.
Yeah, it's necessary for sure. If you want to get over.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.